Wickiup is made out of about 2-inch willow poles that are set in the ground, probably 20 feet long and 9 or 10 feet wide, and bow together. It kind of looks like a loaf of bread, and then it's covered on the outside with cattail mats, and these cattail mats are about 6 foot wide and 25 feet long. And what they do, they cut these cattail leaves. They go out and in the water and harvest them. And they'll cut them off below the water surface to get them as long as they can. And they lay them out and let them dry a little bit. And then they've got a needle about 3/4 inch wide, about 1/8 of an inch thick, and about a foot long. And they tie a string on it. And they go through each one of those leaves sideways, and just keep. They can run a dozen on and then pull, and then go about a dozen more and pull it. And they put those strings through about a foot apart, and on the edges they kind of weave them together with string, turn them back and make it's a strong mat. And so they put these around, and then they come over the top. They leave a smoke hole in top of it, and that has a piece of tin nowadays, are used to, so they can close it when it rains or snows, but they can shove it back and it's a smoke hole. And I've been in the homes when they've had a little fire that wouldn't be a foot across, and it'd be as warm in there as it is in this house right now at 0 outside. And but anyway, we went in to visit this lady, and we heard we hadn't prayed together. We just got out of school, drove out there, and we started talking to her, and outside we heard a peyote drum, and a peyote drum is kind of a round kettle about 6-8 inches. It's got water in it that changes the tone of it, and then a skin is stretched down around it. And they drum on that. Heard this peyote drum just outside this Wickiup. Never did see anybody, but heard it, and we heard some low singing or talking, and this woman, we just could not get anywhere with her. I mean, you could just feel the satanic power. And so we left and got down the road about a half mile. We stopped and we both agreed it's time to do some praying. And went on down the road to Murdoch's, and James was open. I mean, he'd let us talk to him, but we went in there that day and with Ella, and she said he's back in the bedroom. He said he's sick, and so we went in and talked to him a little bit, and prayed for him, and there was no animosity, no nothing. And later, just before, well, really, when we were leaving, we went by to see James, and he was sick again. But he gave his heart to the Lord.
Yeah, and, awesome.
You were asking if there was anything that was humorous. Yeah, I had when Gene Fry came. He had lived over around McLeod, which was about 10 miles away, and his mother lived over there, and we led her to the Lord, and then his grandmother gave her heart to the Lord, and so we were going to baptize her. And so we got to the church after we had a meal at the church, and then after the meal we had was going to have the baptism, and I took her into the water and baptized her, and brought her out, and she went down and sat on the front row of the church, and I was going to preach a sermon, just to share, and I just got started, and all at once she screamed and jerked and went into convulsions and fell off of the pew and onto the floor, and I didn't have a clue what was going on.
Yeah.
Several of the women just grabbed her and put her back on the pew and began to work with her, and then one of the ladies told me, she said, well, it was Jane's mother, said, we were expecting her to do this.
Yeah.
Because when she gets in water, she has these it causes her to her muscles to.
Oh.
I said, thank you for telling us. They said, we thought she'd do it when you had her in the baptistry.
Oh no. They were wanting that to happen.
Well, they were expecting it,
Yeah.
but they sure didn't say anything to me about it. And we had a good ministry there, and got the building built, and
that's a significant accomplishment. The building is.
Yeah.
Do you know of any others that you can recall?
Huh?
Are there any other significant accomplishments that you can recall?
Yeah. One of the times that James came by drunk, and he wanted me to go with him. No, I think he came somehow. I was over at their house, which was about 1.5 miles away, and James was going to take me home, and he'd been drinking, and my prayer life got caught up real fast. He started driving that old Plymouth pickup car 95 miles an hour down a narrow blacktop road, both sides of it, all over it. And he just he's having a ball, and that was the last time that I got in a car with a drunk. Now I got in one when I was hitchhiking one time with a white guy, and it was an experience too, but never willingly getting in a car with a guy. It was during this time that I met Stella Wapskinny. She worked at the Tinker Air Force Base as secretary, and with her family, we had just we touched a lot of people's lives while we were there, and we were there. It took me 8 years to graduate from college because, first of all, I was pastoring and I was building a church building.
Yeah.
And I had a terrible time of getting enough grade average to get through college. And then they had what they called a JQE that every student had to pass before they graduated from OBU. And a fellow named Miles was my advisor. And he when I took it the last time, you had to make at least a 70 on it. And I got a 65, I think. And he said, Harold, went through the question and what the answers ought to be. And he said, now, Harold, take this test again. And I made 71, I think. Took it over again.
Oh, awesome. That's awesome.
And so I finally got a degree there. I had another thing that happened at OBU that was not so significant as far as ministry then, but it made such an impact on my life.
Yeah.
I was trying to get honor points, trying to take the easiest courses I could.
Yeah.
And this Joel Heffley was an art major. And so as part of his graduate work, he was teaching an art class on poster and lettering. And I thought, heck, I can fly by this. Well, too many people signed up for it. And they split it, and the only hour I could take it was the hour that Dr. Bond, the major professor, was teaching it.
Yeah.
And Joel said, Harold, you don't want to do that? He said, this is poster and lettering. And he said, Dr. Bond was a commercial artist. And he said, he is tough. And but I couldn't do anything else. So I went to his first class, and gosh, the bunch that was in there were artists.
Oh.
And I was just astounded. I didn't know what direction to go, but I couldn't do any other way. And so I started in, and I learned poster and lettering. And when we got our midterm finals, everybody was around the board checking their grades, and they said, "Boy, Harold, you sure did set a standard." I had made one of the 2 A's.
No way.
And what he judged on was improvement. And so I did. I got an A. And so down toward the final end of the year, we had a big poster project that had to do, and so I made a sheet of your construction, your poster board, poster board size, and I made a map of the world out of paper mache, a half of paper mache.
Oh.
And put that on that. And then I did a thing for lighting a Christmas offering around the world through the cooperative program, so on and so forth. And I took a coat hanger and put it out about 2 inches from the world globe.
Yeah.
And I glued my letters. I cut my letters out, and I glued them on. And what I did this for was to take care of the shadows. I mean, if you put a sign up here, you've got to shadow it. Well, how are you going to shadow it from this angle, this angle? So I thought, okay, if I'll cut those letters out and let them make their own shadows. And so I did it, and made this thing and took it to class. And Dr. Bond was sitting there at a table, and I set it down. And he looked at it. He said, "Harold, you've made a lot of friends." I got an A+ out of that course. And of course, these other students were the art students that didn't do good at all.
Right.
But it was all on my growth, and as a postering a letter, you know, and but I have carried that thing.
Yeah.
through. I'm still using it on those bulletin boards.
Yeah. Have you ever made any church signs before?
Oh yeah. Oh
yeah. Did that ever carry into your cake decorating? That's a different story, but
oh, yeah.
I was just wondering about that. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
But that course just made the difference. Now, this Joel Heffley became a city manager for the city of Colorado Springs, Colorado. He stepped from there to State House of Representatives. He stepped from there to D.C. He was in the House of Representatives, D.C. for 16 years.
Wow.
He has retired about the time Obama came into play. And but Joel is still a very dear friend. He's in Oklahoma now. He bought a ranch, and he raises horses, race horses. But he sells the foal before they're ever born.
Ooh.
Yeah. Big. But when I was down last year at Shawnee with Ralph Hamlin on that wild game dinner, Joel and I got together, and his wife got together and had a meal together. And he hasn't changed. He hasn't changed. And
well, if it's okay with you, in just a moment, I'll go ahead and wrap up this interview. We'll take a break, and we might come back in a few minutes if you feel like it. Is there anything else you'd like to add about your ministry at Kickapoo before we conclude?
I don't know of anything.
We can come back at another time if something comes back to you.
It was while we were at Kickapoo that Barbara and Fred and Joel were born.
Okay, that's good to know.
Joel was born then, and we had a Bessie Scott was a member of our church there, and we were trying to do things as much as we could like Indians, as much as we could pick up some of their culture.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that they had was they had swings for their babies. And these swings were nothing in the world but 2 ropes hung across the corner of a room,
Mm-hmm.
or across the back seat of a car. And you hang those, and you take a blanket and put a blanket around it several times, and lay the baby in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then an old grandma with a short piece of rope sits there and swings that baby. And boy, we picked up on that thing like that.
Huh.
And old Bessie said, "You want to think real seriously about that, Harold." Says, because when that baby learns to sleep in that, you're going to have to put it in your car. You're going to have to put it everywhere you are, because she won't sleep in it. She won't sleep if she's not in that swing.
Mm-hmm.
And so we decided not to go that route.
Oh.
But because, man, we traveled a lot and everything, and it was, I think that's probably about it.